ESPN family. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jill.
And this is Roadhouse Idiots. So, episode 3 was called The Foundry, and right away we got back to a little bit more of the Season 1 and Season 2 style Supernatural, where we have, a cold open, which kind of sets the tone for...
Stupid person making stupid decision, horror movie scene. Let's go into the creepy abandoned building.
Yeah, so, again, stupid couple, the, guy and a girl. Girl goes into the house, and you're just like, why are you going into the house?
Let's be fair to the guy. He did not think it was a good idea to go into the house.
Oh, yeah, no. He had the right call. We called 911. And let's be real, calling 911 would have solved nothing.
No.
But...
Calling 911, if you're just a person, you hear a baby in distress in a creepy place, good. I'm not gonna, frown upon that. Going into the abandoned building, not so good.
I honestly was a little disappointed at how the cold open delivered in terms of, the scary reveal or, kind of the scary level. I don't know if that's the direction they were going for or if it was purposely trying to be cheesy as possible because...
I think they were going for creepy because... You were getting twingy, and then when you saw, it's just a doll, and then this payoff, you were
come on.
So I think maybe you're getting more used to scary.
Maybe that's what it is.
Because I definitely think, the creepy baby doll was a little bit creepy, but it was, I could go for scarier. I want it a little bit, even up your game more, guys.
Okay. So I felt that the Castiel-Crowley team-up was funny. It kind of moved that plot of Where's Lucifer forward a little bit. I didn't think we were going to get any of that this episode, and I was happy that we did, and I was happy that kind of drove it forward.
Because you need Ghost of the Week isn't going to fill a whole episode anymore. Mm-hmm. So you need to, especially because for one of the reasons that was addressed in the episode about, hey, where aren't we going to go door to door? Are we going to do cold calls? And that element of the show stopped because the internet can do a lot of it. It speeds up a lot of that process. And also for them to be what is it? Obviously it's a ghost. Every single hunter on that team is way too familiar. So I thought we would get a little bit of it. I do think it is hysterical. I think they're being very funny. And third time's the charm cast because finally this week you did have funniest line for me. Not when he called himself
Beyonce.
Agent Beyonce. But when the door gets slammed in his and Crowley's face and he's like, do you think this happens?
To Sam and Dean. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So Vince has a sister who is apparently, paraplegic or what, but confined to a wheelchair, now healed and walking. Whoop-de-doo. I don't know how major of a storyline that was, but
no, but it's
whatever.
Showing that, this still keeping deals that you made in, and it was a lead. It was a lead to get them to...
That's true. Yeah, so it served that purpose.
That was the purpose.
It got them to the cabin in the woods that Vince Lucifer, Rick Springfield, is living in. And he's keeping Rowena hostage. I gotta tell you, if I was Lucifer in that case, under no circumstance would I have allowed Rowena to do anything. Now, I get that he was desperate to find another vessel because his was decaying. He can just jump around from vessel to vessel as he wishes, right?
No? It's not. He's an angel. He needs permission.
True.
They have to say yes.
Yeah, but he can manipulate into that.
While he can, what is he doing when every single time he has to find a new vessel? How long does that take to find one that can hold him for a reasonable amount of time? I honestly can see how not having a vessel that can hold you being a huge problem. It's not something that can work. Mm-hmm. It's not reasonable to need to go from vessel to vessel. What is stupid was not having a backup plan to more blackmail to think that she was going to follow through, because Rowena changes sides like a girl changes clothes.
She probably changes clothes that often too.
Rowena's out for Rowena, and that's sort of fun. And you can see her alliances. She's out to benefit what is going to benefit her, and that's where his fatal mistake was. I was happy to see her break free. I'm glad that she's not going to stay as Lucifer's like pawn, and I like that she's taking the role of this asset, which we talked about in our season 12 predictions, of this person who's kind of there in and out as you need her, but is going to be like, well, what's in it for me? Yeah. And I think that will be a fun element for her.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm very happy that she's not an antagonist, and I'm happy that she's a character that we kind of root for now.
Yeah, I think that's a fun role for her.
Agreed. So she's no longer prisoner to Lucifer. Where's Lucifer?
Yeah, and then are we done? Are we done with Rick?
That I don't know. I don't know if
it kind of looked like his vessel.
It felt like it. I felt like it, and I'm assuming yes, only because I think
it felt like that, and his schedule and like.
Yeah, I think that's what he was contracted for.
That's sad.
So
it looked like the vessel was destroyed. Once again, really cool special effects. Kind of sad to see Rick go.
Again, props to the CGI department on the whole decaying body.
Awesome.
That was pretty cool. Second funniest line was, if you thought Keith Richards was bad, take a look at Iggy Pop.
Oh my God.
That was funny.
That was excellent.
So that was personally my favorite storyline. I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. So our main storyline at this point, again, we're dealing with more of the, case of the week, monster of the week, whatever you want to call it, where turns out this guy lived in a house and just killed kids.
Oh my God. That was the creepy element. We said we want it more scary. Like the end where Mary was talking about what he did to those kids.
Yeah, it wasn't scary in terms of like a horror show. It was scary in terms of like,
that was so much worse because it was like so many elements of mixing supernatural with real serious creeps out there. And I feel like that's the type of story. When this show started, I was 15 years old. So like now as like a person who has like friends with kids, like I'm older and stuff, seeing anything with like kids getting attacked was like, that was creepy. So like that one hit pretty deep, and it was definitely perfect to deliver that deepness with a mother, because I don't think that Sam and Dean could have done that scene justice because they've never had kids.
Yep.
The closest that either of them have ever been to having a kid was Ben.
With Ben, yep.
Ben for Dean.
Dean with Ben.
And then he technically had that monster child, but we're just going to ignore that episode. But having a mother, like that was when we were talking about we wanted the scary. But then when Mary went into the room for the first time, I was like, well, if this isn't a PTSD moment, I don't know what is, because
I love Samantha Smith's performance.
Oh my God.
In this episode.
Yes. Can I just say that to those of you who are enjoying Mary Winchester, go you. To those of you guys who are like not feeling Mary Winchester yet, you gotta be feeling Mary Winchester. I'm such a fan of her. I love her character. I love her dynamic. She's killing it with the short hair. Looks so freaking good, by the way. Like the different angles, all Hunter. And I called it. I was like, now when she cuts her hair short, they're gonna make a joke about Sam's hair.
And they did.
And they did. I love her character. She's a strong woman. She's having difficulty in the world. She's doing a great line, like pulling back, have we gone too far with technology? She's showing who she is as a real person. She is awesome. She has flaws in the best possible way. She's part of the dysfunctional Winchester family for sure. You can see how much she has in common with the boys and how much she doesn't have in common with the boys. Mary has been so good for this season, and they found a perfect out to not overuse her character, because at the core, I agree. I feel like the biggest complaint I've seen online from fans about Mary is she's interrupting the brothers' dynamic. Mm-hmm. So by her leaving at the end of the episode, We're going to talk about the boys, how I feel about that in a second. But by her leaving at the end of the episode, it was a perfect, realistic way for her not to be overused and still let the brothers' dynamic be the core of this show. But God, do I love the element she brings to the table. I'm loving her character. I want more of her character. And I'm sad because next week, I can feel it, she's not going to be in that episode. Nope. Like, we might get a phone call, like, oh, Mom said she's doing this. Like, that's as much as we're going to get from Mary now. And that's going to be, like, that leaves me wanting more. I'm like, oh, I need more Mary. Like,
I think it was necessary to kind of postpone separate them because it allows Mary to get used to a world that clearly she's not comfortable in right now. She's not comfortable with her surroundings. She's not comfortable with how things have changed over 30 years. So she needs this time to, A, figure out who she is, and B, figure out the world that she's living in. Yes. And I think once she and the boys are reunited, I think that will strengthen their family unit.
I think while it was so important to show the disconnect with technology, it would have been boring to show them like teaching her, hey, this is how we do this, this is how we do this. They've addressed it. Now when she comes back, there might be a couple of references that she'll be off on, but we won't have to see that like day-to-day boring details because she'll be more caught up on that.
I love the scene. Back. I love the scene where Sam and Dean leave Mary at the hotel room and they give her an iPhone.
She trades
and then she looks in and she trades it in for the old portable phone. I thought that was perfect.
I thought that was
awesome.
Buttons. Yep. And I thought that was really fun. The comment about how nobody talks on the phone anymore these days.
Yep.
And just showing the disconnect and sometimes how, with technology and stuff, were you getting the full story? Yeah. And like that was the core of it. I loved seeing their different strengths. Sam and Dean being needed to save Mary, but Mary being needed to save those kids. Yes. And that really just shows you the difference in generations, the difference in like gender hunters, just like the difference like of different people and a new perspective that they bring to the table. Let's talk about
Salt and Burn. When was the last time we saw Salt and Burn?
Good old Salt and Burn.
Good old Salt and Burn.
Oh my gosh.
Salt and Burn the bodies.
Salt and Burn the bodies.
It was nice to see that. We hadn't seen that in a while. All right, so do you want to talk about the brothers?
Yes. I want to talk about our Sam and Dean a little bit throughout the episode because we had talked about this. We had some disagreements on who was going to connect with them better. And actually, at the beginning of this episode, it kind of felt like Dean and Mary had a lot more like Mary turning the music up loud and you knew that was going to happen. And Mary going for the bacon and then the beef jerky and all these like tasty treats. But at the same time, her internal feelings, Sam sort of called it before it happened. He didn't realize the result it was going to have, but he knew that this whole thing was, a mask and burying yourself in the pain. Why? Because what two boys have done this practically their entire life, burying the pain with cases, as they said, like mother like sons. And that was another element of hitting home. And that scene where she walked out, while I think it's going to be great for the show, once again, these boys cannot catch a break. It was sad. Yeah. I felt, and there was the look on Dean's face, like Sam.
You felt the pain.
Sam.
You really felt the abandonment.
Dean's pain were both, they're both hurting and they were both really sad. But I think Sam was almost less surprised.
Yeah.
And I think he was equally hurt. He, did not want to see her go, because he told her, he opened up. He was vulnerable with her, which, is, the kiss of death for Sam. But he was vulnerable with her, and to see him lose someone that he has so much in common with that he could open up to was tough.
They just got reunited.
Yeah, and getting a chance, and then gone. But then Dean's face was so sad because painful. it was really, you could see this moment of, you just brought back his childhood of Dean being abandoned, story of his life. Why am I not good enough for my family? And that's not how Mary feels. Mm-hmm. She's dealing with her own problems right now. And she's dealing with, she doesn't identify these two as her sons. In a way she does, but in a way she identifies the 4 and 6 month year old as her son. So she doesn't know how to be a mother. And in some ways, you might be like, we've talked about, there's like the common tag of John Winchester, what a great father, always abandoning his kids. Mary Winchester, following suit of John, leaving her kids again. And you just felt like here they are, grown adults, and just showing the pain of just being abandoned. I don't know which one. I felt so bad for both of them. And that's sad, but I think it's going to make for good season.
One thing I think is kind of cool is now that we've seen a few episodes with Mary, and then just thinking back to like season 1, we had a few episodes with John. I kind of feel like Sam and Dean are their mother's children more than they are their father's children. I feel like they relate more to Mary than they relate more to John. And I think having that Hunter background kind of, alludes to that.
Whereas John got thrown into this.
John got thrown into it, and then he was a strict dad and very by the book after Mary's death.
Well, he was in a different situation than them. He lost his wife. He became a single father at a time where single fathers didn't exist. Let's be real. If we're talking times. And he was then thrown into this world of supernatural, which he didn't know existed. And he was forced to deal with it in some way. And we alluded to that a little bit on the earlier seasons when we talked about the psychics. And we saw the psychic Max, whose, father went crazy and turned abusive. And we saw that. And so for John, he handled as well as he could. I'm so not defending half the stuff that John did. Yeah. I have a lot of issues with John. But I also have a lot of feels for John because he was put in an impossible situation. Yeah. And Mary grew up in the life. Sam and Dean grew up in the life. So while they have more tendencies of understanding the way, and I really think that's where Sam and Mary connect because they were both grown up in the life. They didn't want to be grown up in the life. Whereas I think Dean feels more of a sense of family through it. Sam does too now. But I think naturally Dean's whole world was always inside this box because he had to. He had more of John's role of John didn't have a choice. He got thrown into hunting. Dean was the older brother. He didn't have a choice. He had to take care of his younger brother. And I think that's where they separate a little bit.
All right, let's get to our Impala rating for the episode.
This is tough.
I agree.
So I'm
I felt like the first 10 minutes I was like, eh.
Yeah.
And then the next 20 minutes it got really, really good.
Yeah.
And then for me it kind of went downhill and then it was a sad ending, let's be real. I'm giving this one a 6.
I kind of was doing this. I'm 6 to 7. So I think though 6.5. So I think that you gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6.
And I gave it a 6.5. And the thing was, I thought the episode was a 6. I thought the ending though to me was the best part because I thought it was a great setup for I love seeing. That sounds so terrible. I love The Boys in Pain. I love seeing that element of that human reactions of that family element and that struggle. And I think that's going to make it a much more interesting setup. And I think we'll appreciate our Mary Winchester scenes more.
Yeah.
And that was the element that I was that one part to me was an 8. But the rest of the episode was 6. And that was the only. So I think overall 6 Impalas, which, guys, I enjoyed the episode. I just want to say that. Not every episode can be a 10 out of 10. So I think overall, guys, 6 out of 10, not bad. Do you agree with our score? Let us know in the comments below. And let us know if you found the scenes scary enough or if you want to go even scarier on these Case of the Weeks, if that's the style they're going for. And let us know in the comments below what you are looking forward to of Mary finding out in John's journal because it didn't touch on a lot of that. And she misses John, and I feel like that's cool. That, standing by her husband. But I want to know if that's going to change through reading more of the journal. So let's talk about where that's going. Guys, subscribe
to the
our
videos.
You can do it right below so you can never miss a review from us. And we've got some other fun videos planned because we've got the release of Kings of Con coming out soon. So we're soon to announce what we're going to do in regards to that. We will see you next week.
Take care.